welcome. Thank you so much for arriving here instead of the stables. It unfortunately got cancelled last week, so that's a bit of a pain when that happens. So welcome to the fairy lights. I'm quite liking the fairy lights. I think this should be a regular feature. Tonight's practice is linear. You'll be pleased to know. I won't be kind of going off the mat. And actually I didn't design it like that, but the practice tonight is very traditional. So I've gone back to my roots, I think in October. So we shall see where we go. I think the first thing that we can do is come to seated or wherever you're comfy. And I'm gonna just Corrie and Sally at the back. I haven't forgotten you. It's just, I feel a long way away. Come to seated, and we're going to take a moment to settle in with the breath. So whether you are just using just a gentle inhale and exhale, or whether you would like to bring that square breath that we were practicing last week, where you imagine the square, you inhale for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 4, you exhale for a count of 4, and you hold and retain the breath for a count of 4. You're very welcome to use that. I'm not going to guide you through it. I'm just going to let you settle. Relaxing shoulders. Allowing just a gentle lift through the spine. Just letting the breath just rise and fall, or if you're using the retention of the breath, just enjoying the stillness of that square breath. And tonight's practice is very much about the balance, very much about both the root, so how we ground ourselves on the mat, and how we rise as well, so how we have that yin and the yang in the practice. So where we're steady and grounded, but equally we can be lifting and we can be light as well in the top body. And we're just going to take a moment. We're going to take a big inhale as we lift the hands all the way up, stretching through all the way to the ceiling. And then take both hands across to your right hand side, just gently coming into a twist. Breathing into the twist. Inhaling all the way back to center, so we lift all the way up. And we exhale across to the other side. And this twist can be gentle, hardly anything. Or you can gently take a little bit more of a turn of the whole of the torso. Inhale, lift all the way to center. And exhale, bring your hands behind you, interlace the fingers, draw the knuckles gently down, and just take the gaze gently up. Bring the hands forwards, again, interlace the fingers, and just gently tuck the chin, pushing the palms away from you. And then come all the way back. We're going to come to all fours. We're going to play with cow and cat. So we're going to stack the hands gently underneath the shoulders. And what I want you to do when you get here is I want you to really think about as if the palms have got like kind of suction pads on them. So I want you to think about pushing the palms into the mat and also pushing the thumb and the first finger, and then spreading the weight through the fingers. So we're taking the weight out the back of the wrist. And then I want you to kind of wrap the triceps, pushing them towards each other. So we've got really firm base for the arms. Tuck the toes just as get a little stretch into the toes. And as we come to cow, we're going to drop the belly and we're going to look up. And then as we round the spine, we untuck the toes and bring ourselves into cat. Working with the breath, we inhale as we move and tuck the toes. And exhale as we round the spine and untuck the toes. And just take a couple of these back and forwards, just in your own time. And when you've taken a few back and forwards, what I want you to do is I want you to just circle the hips. So you can draw the hips all the way to the feet. You might use that kind of cow movement, arching, and then tucking the back towards the heels again. Taking now softness into the hands. So you can take the weight out the hands. You might be stretching through the side body, just moving the hips side to side. And then what we're going to come to is threading the arms. So just making sure that you don't smack your neighbor in the face. We're going to take the arm just gently out to the side. And then we're going to just wrap it underneath, bringing the side of the body down to the mat. Now you can increase this with a little bind. So you can wrap the back, the arm behind. Okay, or you can keep it forwards. Try and keep the hips forward. So try not to dump the weight across to one side. And breathe into this, inhaling and exhaling. All the way back up. We're going to come all the way back up and to the other side. Even if you take the arm out to the side and then draw all the way under. Just allowing a stretch and then just adjusting to where you are comfy with. And then we're going to come all the way back to that stacked back position. And we're going to stretch the right leg all the way long and just push gently into the heel. Lift that all the way up and just tuck it just across to the edge of the mat, taking the gaze all the way down to that foot on the other side. All the way up and over. Going to tuck the knee all the way up into the knee. Really draw that heel all the way up to the body. And then bring that knee down. We're going to just pivot. This is going to be, should be fine. Pivot on your mat so you come into a little gate pose. So you can use your mat space here. So at the beginning of this is a side plank here variation. And we're going to just lift up and push the hand all the way down. Slide it down that extended leg. All the way back again. Lift the hand all the way up to that little side plank variation. And then draw the knee up and catch gently the foot if you can, and see if you can push that top hip forwards very gently, opening the side body. We're going to turn all the way to the front of the mat again. So you come back to that stacked position and draw the opposite leg now. So working on the other side, which is going to be the opposite leg. That's it. And then lift that all the way up and take it just to the opposite corner of your mat, looking round, taking a side stretch all the way through. Draw that knee all the way up and into the body. And then bring it to the mat. Take yourself into a little side plank variation, supported side plank here. Really root the edge of the foot, so that kind of knife edge of the foot, into the mat. We've got that grounding on one side and we've got the lifting up the body on the other. And as we lift all the way, we draw ourselves all the way up and across. It's great. I can see you all in the reflection too. All the way back. Bring yourself to that side plank variation again. And then gently lift the knee up. And if that's just all you do, it's fine. Or you can just catch that foot if you wish and just allow a little stretch through that top hip. All the way back forwards. Take a moment here again with cat-cow. So just take some movement here on the mat with cat-cow. Maybe take a child's pose if you want to. It's an active child's pose. We're going to come to downward facing dog. So in a moment, we're just going to take our time to arrive in downward facing dog, lifting the hips and just allowing the hamstrings to warm up, allow them to stretch. So you're just drawing back and forwards with the heels. And then I want you to think about rooting through the palms, the fingers, more of that kind of weight, that rooting through the first finger and the thumb. And then allow yourself to come into downward facing dog with a really relaxed neck. So hands are rooting, push and wrap the arms towards each other. Allow yourself to bend the knees, lift the hips, engage belly to spine, relaxing the neck. And then we're going to draw ourselves all the way to the front of the mat into Uttanasana, to forward fold. So bring yourself to forward fold. And we're going to come to Ardha Uttanasana, so flat back. So really stretching through the back of the legs. Remember, you can, if you've got any tension, draw a little bit of a bend in the knee. Take a moment here. Exhale all the way. And we're going to really ground through the feet, engage that core, push into the mat, bend the knees softly and hinge at the hips to come all the way up into mountain, allowing the shoulders to come back. Well done. It's very interesting. It's much harder to see you all in this more traditional setup in class. So I think I will be sticking to my circles and my stacked sort of kind of wings. It's much easier. So we're going to just come to Anjali Mudra. What I want you to do is I want you to bring your hands together and I want to see if you can keep your forearms in line with each other. As you do, lift up through inhaling and exhaling. And we're going to bring the hands down to the side. And as we lift up, we're going to come to our tiptoes. We're going to inhale all the way up, reaching up. Just working on that balance. And then keeping on the tiptoes, we're going to come to a chair pose. So sink into chair. Inhale and exhale here. Bring the heels down now. Sink a little deeper into Utkatasana. Take a moment here. And then we're going to fold. So we come all the way into a fold. Inhale, flat back. We're going to come all the way into plank. So we're going to step into plank. Long plank here. Brilliant. And we're all going to bring our knees down. And as we do, we're going to come to Chaturanga Dandasana arms. So we're going to keep the arms towards the back. We're going to bring ourselves all the way to the mat into Bhujangasana, keeping space if you want. Meeting in downward facing dog. I'm going to step or hop to the front of the mat or float. Inhale, flat back. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale all the way, Uttanasana. Hop to plank. And then you can either take a full Chaturanga Dandasana or you can bring the knees down, either to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana or you can come to Bhujangasana, which is your choice. Meeting in Ardha Mukha Shavasana. Look forward, take yourself to the top of the mat, into the fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, sweep the hands all the way up. Inhaling, lift, hands to the heart. If you need to open doors or windows more, please do. It's warm. Are you okay, Jenny? It's like summer. It's summer. Yes. So yeah, just there's a window by you if you need to. I think it's all programmed storage heaters, so I don't want to play with them. That will be fine. So we're going to bring our hands together back into Anjali Mudra. So with this, just keep a little bit of pressure into the heels of the hands, keeping the forearms, and feel that grounding of the feet, grounding of the hands. Inhale, we're going to lift all the way onto tiptoes. And exhale, Utkatasana, tiptoes in chair. It's hard, isn't it? I'm just seeing people go, oh, if you need to, do not use tiptoes. There weren't any injuries at the back there. And bring the heels down, feel that grounding into the heels. Take the hands back, Anjali Mudra, and we're going to revolve to our left-hand side. So we're going to come across the way. If you want to, you can tuck the arm just onto the back of the elbow, onto the back of the knee, or you can just open. So we've done that before as well. It depends on where you want to be. Inhale, we're going to lift all the way back up. Exhale, sink to the other side. Again, your choice. Inhale all the way back up. And we're going to exhale to exhale. We're going to push into our feet, soften our knees, engage the core, allow ourselves to come to fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale all the way down. And we're going to step to plank. There's time in plank. We're going to just take a moment here. If you're really feeling the love for plank, you can always come down a little bit. Forearm plank, little shimmy, and come up to plank. You can play around here if you really want to. And we're going to move into downward facing dog. Lift up into downward facing dog. Take a breath here. And then anchor your left foot, lift your right all the way up so it's in the air. And what we're going to do, we're going to step all the way through to lunge. So we're going to just lift to a runner's lunge here. And we're moving towards Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. So we're lifting all the way up into Warrior 1. Use that back edge of the foot. If it's comfy on the ankle, pushing the heel at the top of the mat and pushing into that back edge of the foot if it's comfy. Interlacing the hands behind us. Just take a moment just to take a little bit of a gaze up the way. If you're feeling the love for the lifting of the heel, you can always lift the heel, add a little bit of a stretch, you strengthen into that foot there. Don't break anything. And then push that heel all the way down. And we're going to come all the way to Humble Warrior. So allow the body to fold softly and allow the hands to rise gently. Inhaling and exhaling here. And then just frame that front foot, turn and pivot. So in that runner's lunge again, step all the way into plank. Take a moment here in plank. And we're going to just take a little vinyasa or child's pose if you wish. So you might want to come to cobra, or you might come to all fours, meeting in downward facing dog. Anchor that right foot, lift the left. So you're lifting that left. You can flex, you can point the toe, whatever suits you. And then just to get some height, engage that core, lift up onto those tiptoes, bring that leg through and step through to that runner's lunge, ready just to place that back foot, Virabhadrasana, rise up, Warrior 1. Find your base pose here. Interlace the hands gently and just open the chest by taking the gaze gently up. You can lift that front heel if you want, little ankle stretch. If you're not feeling love for it, then don't. And then all the way down. And we're going to just softly fall into humble warrior. Really strong legs. Keep that pressure in the heel at the front. Keep that pressure in the back foot. Frame the hands, draw yourself all the way to runner's lunge. And take a step back, bring the knees together and just push yourself back and take a moment in child's pose. Allowing yourself just to sink with the breath. If it's really hot in here, you can always go and get a glass of water if you need one at the back. Oh, you've got a water bottle there, yeah, okay, yeah. Just take a moment with the breath. And then come all the way up. And just to, yeah, if you're hot and you need water and you haven't got water, I'm sure they won't mind if you get a glass at the back. There we are. I was going to say it's just open, so just push it a little bit more and you'll get a little bit more fresh air in. Excellent. Hot yoga, it is. All right. So we're going to come all the way back to the top of the mat. Bring yourself all the way up, hands all the way to prayer. Take the hands gently down by the side, lift the heels, draw the hands all the way up. We're going to sink to Utkatasana, still just on our tiptoes. Sink the heels now, ground into the mat. And lift all the way back up, stretching all the way back up. Sweep the hands all the way down. And on the next lift, we're going to take the right hand knee and we're going to lift all the way up one-legged mountain. As you lift up to one-legged mountain, if you want to push through that right foot, you can do. Lifting as high as you're comfy. And then sweep that foot behind you. We're going to come to Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3, allowing yourself. So if you want to bring the hands to prayer, you can do. If they're outstretched, that's absolutely fine. Use your variation here. Bringing very gently that back foot all the way, catching the back of the mat, rise up to Warrior 1. We seem to have a Warrior 1 practice going on tonight. Really think about that back foot rooting. If it's not comfy, pressing into that back edge of the foot, press into the back heel. We're going to open to Virabhadrasana 2. Flip the hands, both palms facing the ceiling, and we're going to push through the heel at the front and lift the hands all the way up. Turn the hands, so we're coming into Trikonasana. Really push into that front. Keep length in the side body. Allow yourself to float into Trikonasana. Don't go too low if you feel that top shoulder is struggling. Push and sink back into the knee into Virabhadrasana 2. Sweep all the way forwards. Either take a moment on all fours or a child's pose, or come into a vinyasa of your choice. Might just be a wee stretch. We're going to meet in downward facing dog. Take a moment in downward facing dog, or if you're on all fours, that's absolutely fine too. Anchor your right foot now. Is it? Hold on, which one? No, or do we need the whatever foot at the top? I wasn't paying attention. So it's anchor your left foot, I think now. Whatever foot you haven't done that needs to rise, come up to this side. So my right foot, because I was facing the window. Sorry about that. And drop into Warrior 1. So lifting all the way up. So whatever side you weren't doing then, I was facing the window. So I was using my left foot forwards. Okay, confused me. Very, very easy to do. And then open to Virabhadrasana 2. Lovely strong arms, drop the shoulders, relax those shoulders. Just tuck the tailbone by just engaging the core. As soon as you engage the core, you should feel that tailbone just move. That's it. And then just take those pinkies and just take them a fraction back. Feel the arms engage. Now feel those arms as light as a feather. Really think about the heels, the edge of the back foot. Turn the palms. And as we push into the heel, protecting that knee, we inhale and lift. Exhale, sink back. Warrior 2. Turn all the way forwards. We're going to just take a moment here with a little runner's lunge. Take a stretch. We're coming to the top of the mat. We're going to lift up to the top of the mat to Uttanasana. Take a moment in forward fold. If your hamstrings or your lower back are saying hello, just bend the knees and draw yourself however you want. Inhaling, lift. And then draw yourself all the way up, lifting all the way up. Now anchoring the right foot, we're going to take, I think it's the left, it was the opposite one you didn't outstretch. And then just push that forward, so really thinking. And if you're a regular in class, which most of you are, then just working out how much your foot is actually lifting. I've been doing this practice with you, this sequence, for a wee while now. I know I'm talking and you're all lifting your feet. You can bring it in. So why don't we take a little balance here? And I've noticed myself that my foot is higher than it was when I'm lifting it. So don't know, might be the same. I hope you're all tying your own shoelaces in the yogic way. And then we're going to step all the way and we're going to take ourselves into Virabhadrasana 3 on the other side. And then step gently. And we're going to just bring ourselves into a little lunge here. So all the way up. And feel that stretch through the back heel, that back leg. Make sure the toes are not curling at the front. Taking just the hands to frame, we're going to drop that back heel. So we're coming into the side angle. If you have a block, you're very welcome to put the block just behind you, which will allow you to open up into a little side angle. Or you can use your arm gently on your knee. If you're using your arm gently on your knee, bring your arm up and over. So you're angling. There's 2 variations going on. And then if you want to, you're very welcome to take a bind here. So if you've got your right foot at the front, take your right hand and it might just go under the left hand. You can stay in side angle if you don't want to try this. Your left hand might come up and over and reach it. Now, not wanting to cause chaos at all, but you might want to then step that back foot up to the top of the mat. And maybe you might come into a little bird of paradise. Just think I'd sneak that one in there. Because you're quite warm. You are quite warm. So if you want to do that again, because I've just gone off now, I'm off piece now. So that's me. I've lost the plot. But because we're really warm in here and you have been working really hard, it's quite an interesting transition to play with. So if you're in this little bind here, so feel free to ignore this totally. Please don't go and injure yourself. I'm looking at certain characters but you can try it. Okay, so you come to your little side angle. This opening here is lovely. And you can bring the hand up and over and really use that shape and that space and thinking about the strength. But if you have got a little bind and you can catch, when you take that, there's lots of ways to get into it. This is not the easiest way, but in this sequence it is. You might even just draw your leg. We've done it before, Sally. It's always good to throw something in there. Even if you're just thinking about that balance, try it on one side. We may not have, try it on the other side. So get yourself into a little side angle position. Fine, that might just be where you are and it's comfy. But equally, you might be playing with the bind. One side might be, I started with my easiest side and I can still feel that injection in my arm. So Corey, be careful. That's right arm's fine. Left arm's not going to do that. It's interesting. It's still, what was that, 3 weeks ago I had mine? That's still bruised. So anyway, it might be, yeah, see Christian? Yeah, and it's just allowing a little bit of movement. You're not, I can see you're not sold on that pose tonight. We'll go for something else. So we'll take back up to the top of the mat. Always good to try. Inhale, lift. And come all the way up to the tiptoes. Nice big stretch until we balance. Hands come to the heart. Bring the heels all the way down. Keep the right foot at the top of the mat and step into a high lunge. Inhale, sweep the hands. And exhale, bring them all the way back to the heart. Maybe lift that heel at the front. Little stretch here. It's good for the balance. Use the wall, it's absolutely fine. And then bring the heel down. Now we're going to reach forward. As we reach forward, we're going to lift, we're not going to lower the left knee all the way down. Untuck that toe and draw yourself up to low lunge. Sweep the hands to the mat, bring the knees together, sweep the hands back and lift all the way up. Now here you've got choices. You can bring the hands all the way to the heart and just use this as a base pose. You can bring hands to the back and you can allow yourself just to open the chest. So this is really about lifting up the spine, engaging the core, gently opening the chest. You may have a block and you may want to play, seeing if maybe 2 blocks is safer than 1. Actually, I've only got 1 with me. And you may want to see if you have a camel pose, you're very welcome to come into camel, keeping that neck long so you're not allowing the neck to head right back. You might have a camel pose. Keep lovely space inside of the throat. If you haven't got that, don't worry. Work just on that opening of the chest. And then when you've played with that, come all the way forwards into a little child's pose. Allow yourself a moment. Inhaling and exhaling. Rising all the way up, we're going to walk ourselves forwards into downward facing dog, lifting, tucking the toes, lifting ourselves all the way into downward facing dog. Now, opposite foot now is going to come to the top of the mat, lifting all the way and come to a low lunge on the other side. I've got my left foot this time. Maybe just lift that heel. Maybe bring it down. Maybe just draw the hands forwards. As we draw the hands forwards, we're going to lower that knee. Inhale, lift. Low lunge, crescent moon. Sweep all the way, bring the knees together. You can come straight into child's pose here, or you can lift all the way up. Your choice. Hands might just come to the heart. You might come into a little camel pose if you wish, allowing yourself that space. It may be that you're just using this to strengthen through and open the front body. Allowing yourself, when you feel right, to come all the way into a little counter pose, into child's pose, just allowing a stretch. And you might find that bringing the hands to the side of the mat in front of you, just taking a stretch through the side body, Allowing yourself just a moment. And then all the way up, and just bringing the hands to the knees. Just where we are tonight, it's actually probably quite nice to just play with a wee balance. So I think just we can, if you've got your water, take some water. If not, come to the center of your mat, because we've just got, I'm also aware it's quite warm in here, but that helps us. So we're going to play with Dancer. And if you need to use the wall and you're near a wall, that's absolutely fine. Or you've got the table there, which is quite useful. So just don't fall into the jam or whatever else is on the table. And we're going to think about that routine. So we're going to think about that balance on that foot. So using the whole of the sole of the foot. So really allowing that support. And the other thing that's going to help us here is our core able to support our poses. And remember, we're not locking our abs in, okay? You're not like locking the six pack. You are allowed to breathe. So this is about anticipation of using the core gently to support the pose. And the easiest thing, and there's lots of, this is always a nice point to say, there's lots and lots of people out there, you should hold the outside of your foot, you should hold the toes, you should hold the inside of your foot when you're coming into Dancer. It's really, really personal. What you want to be doing with the pose is you want your hips to be facing forwards as much as possible. Okay, so what you don't want to be doing is opening the hip out to the side and then turning the body. So the idea is that actually we're keeping that knee and the hip points very much in line with each other. Okay, so we try and keep the hips forwards. So that then depends on your body. I find that holding my toes, I don't like holding the inside of my foot because my hip just wants to do that instantly. And that's, you're trying to keep that kind of very linear. So play with where it's comfy. I've got a perfect bar here. Look at that. My goodness me. I was thinking about doing some bar actually, but anyway. So keeping those hips forwards, wherever that's comfy for you to hold your foot. If we had straps, then it would be equally good. And then even if you're just in this position, you're balancing or using the wall, allow yourself to see if you can bring a softness into the pose. And you're pushing the knee, you're pushing the foot up into the hand. You're not grabbing the foot and hoiking it, okay? So you're trying to get some lift into that leg. So if you find yourself really lifting like this and you can feel tension lifting, then just relax and see if you can push the knee a little higher. You might want to soften the front body so it comes down a little. Have a play. You might find the palm facing up. That's the natural for me. The palm facing down. You might take a mudra. Play with the balance and see what suits you and try both sides. I like this. One day I will have my own wee studio. One day. So just allowing space. Lifting up, and there'll be lots and lots of different variations. It's absolutely fine. And if you find that you're like, oh, my lower back, I just need a bit of a stretch, come down into little malasana and just play, just lifting, stretching through the body, just allowing a little bit. Always take a little bit of a side stretch. Working the legs back and forwards, which is quite a nice one to do. So when you come in, there's lovely poses actually, lovely shapes. Everyone's different shapes, but it's always lovely. You'll notice it's one, I'm just about, I'm going to Facebook and Instagram spam you now for the next week with rocks and boots and wet weather, because I'm off on ferry if it's running tomorrow. And my normal is that dancer, and I think I like big toe pose. You can try the big toe pose in here, right? You can do it forwards. It's quite nice. So if you're wanting to give up the balances and just watch, that's absolutely fine. Or you can just play. See if you can start to work. Use the hand out to your side. See if you can start to draw a little bit of length. If you can't, that's absolutely fine. Keep the knee bent. Just work here, keeping the knee bent. That is fine. Well done. Barbara, that's lovely. Well, it was when you were upright. It was really nice. Try one side, and Liska, that was great. Try the other. If you want to use a prop, I'm loving the fact we've got props in here to use. It's really nice. Even if it's just lifting, try and keep that body up straight. So try not to bend too much into this. And you can keep that knee bent. If that's Jenny, that's brilliant. It's lovely. Yeah. It's great. Give it a shake and a wiggle and a dance. Well, and actually one of the things that's quite nice to do, if you come into mountain, you take one leg just behind the other. So you just step into that heel behind. So the opposite arm to the leg that's forward, you can come into a little side stretch. Breathe into the side stretch. Come all the way forwards, step back again, opposite side. Allow yourself, and that opposite hand can just come down to the leg behind. It's a nice little stretch to do. I'm going to add in those extra 15 minutes, I think, for the stables, because I always go over all the way up. Just give yourself a little bit of a wiggle on the hips, and we're going to come down. So we're going to come down all the way down to the mat, come into Dandasana. So allow yourself to tuck the tailbone just gently under. Allow yourself just that lift in the spine, drawing the toes towards the knees. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to almost lift the kneecaps this way towards you. So push the toes towards you and see if you can really engage those legs. You might shake a bit, that's absolutely fine. Relax the shoulders and allow yourself to bring the hands to the mat. Taking a moment here with the breath. And while we're on our mats here, just relax gently, because that is quite an active pose, even though you're actually seated with your legs out. Let's have a go with boat poses. Now you can take a boat variation. There was a look of horror. No. So that you can take a variation. Remember, there's some principles here that you want to stick to. You don't want to slump into the pose. Okay, so if you find yourself slumping in boat, then you need to open that chest. It's the chest that we're keeping open, the shoulders we're keeping open, and we're engaging the core gently by just leaning back gently. And even here, you can feel that's active. So we're opening the arms. Now you may have a fuller boat where you can bring the legs, but you may want to catch the toes. This is where I'll probably roll backwards, and you may want to play with extending the legs. Seems that a bit of a theme tonight. You may be able to. That's good. Without rolling back. And you need to concentrate on this. It may be that you can bring the legs in front of you into boat, or one. Lots of variations, and you build up to this. So whatever variation is comfy for you, maybe there's just a little bit of a core strengthener coming into this. Well done, Christian. That's some pretty good, strong abs there, which I would expect at your age, but that's quite impressive. And then come all the way, and we're going to come all the way to our backs. So allow yourself that time to roll down. And here, We're going to have lots and lots of time here just to be able, either if you want to, you can take your feet either side and you can take the knees together. If you still want to remain in seated, you can do, and you can do this in supine twist. If you're comfy lying down, that's fine. Just allowing yourself to roll back and forwards with the knees. It may be, and this is very much up to you how you feel, maybe knees come into the chest. It may be that you want to bring the knees across to one side and just come into a supine twist. Wherever you are, just allowing a little bit of a stretch. And it might be that you just for a moment just want to come into constructive rest pose and just allow the spine just to relax. So by bringing the feet to the outer edges of the mat, the knees together, we just allow our spine to come into its natural form and shape. Taking a moment here. And then it's going to play now. I think we've got space for this. We can bring, if you bring the knees towards you, we're going to play with Happy Baby. So you take the hands between the kind of knees, and with like a pincer grip with the thumb and the fingers, you can take the inside of your toes, your kind of, and either just allow this, the base of the spine to push forward so that you can feel that into the mat, or you can lift the legs, wherever is comfy for you, and you're pushing the feet into the hands. You're really drawing that lower spine down. Inhaling and exhaling here. And then now you're on a really hard floor, and I can feel this on my yoga mat. So I was going to say roll up and down the mat, but you might just want to just come gently up into seated if you haven't got a cushioned yoga mat. So if you've got a rock and roll, you're absolutely fine. Hardcore there. I felt that, and I don't think this is a travel mat. I don't think it is. Allow yourself to come back up into seated. And just allowing the relax of the shoulders. We're going to inhale, lift all the way up. And we're going to exhale back into that twist we started with. So you might feel different into this. You might just still be very gentle in this. And it's hardly anything. Making sure that if you twist it to the left, that you're rooting down the right hip. Or opposite, whatever way you are. Inhaling, lift all the way up. And exhaling all the way across to the other side. Take a moment here with the breath. And all the way back to center. Now we're going to use our hands. So if this is not for you, you can stay just in seated. We're going to come into like a little reverse tabletop. So you can play with this, and if you don't want to do any of the kind of too much of the stretching, you can take the hands behind you. Just actually allow yourself to open the chest. So it's quite a nice way just of, even if the hands are this way, it's a nice way of stretching the wrists actually. Or you can take this a little bit further, and you can take the feet in front of you, and you might want to come up into a little reverse tabletop, pushing through the hands. It's not for everybody, so you might want to avoid this. It's quite stretchy if you're not into lots of stretching. You might want to come down, and you might even want to take a reverse plank. Now, reverse plank, we've tried this one before. It's quite, and I know my right ankle is not going to behave with this one, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to lift, give yourself space, see if you can come into a reverse plank by stretching through those legs, pushing the heels in, allowing the toes to stretch out. Not for everybody, but have a go if you want to. If it's too much on the arms, come down and work in Dandasana. not one I add into the mix that often. It's a bit of a Marmite one, I think. So how do you get into that in a sequence? So I just allow a little bit of a shuggle of the shoulders, and now we're here. You can either stay in Dandasana, you can sit in a guided seated meditation, or you can take a further twist. So you might want to just take the right leg over the left leg, and either you can stay here. In fact, with this one, you can actually take cow face arms as well if you're just wanting to open the shoulders, or you can take this into a twist. Totally up to you. Breathing through this. It is the season, isn't it, of sparkly lights now. I'm not saying the word, as it starts to get those darker nights back. Twisting onto the other side, just taking a moment here, opposite hand into cow face. If it's not for you, just taking a little twist back and forwards is actually fine. And then unraveling. And either coming down to the mat. We're going to come now to a little bit more of a supine twist. You can stay seated if you want to, or just take another little bit back and forwards. Maybe even taking the knees into the chest and just gently circling the knees. And I've given you plenty of time tonight. That's really good actually for relaxation. You'll be pleased to know. So wherever you are, just starting to come back down to the mat. If you want to come into Shavasana, if you've got socks or you've got a blanket, then please start to use those. If you are going to come into seated, you've got options. You can come into little side deer pose, which is quite a nice way of sitting if you're not wanting to lay down, or you can come into guided meditation. Wherever you are, just make sure you are comfy. Just allowing yourself to settle. Just finding a place where you're comfy. And coming back to the beginning where we started the session with that real root, that grounding, allowing the body to feel heavy. Allowing each limb just to feel connected, to feel supported. Maybe you feel backs of the heels, or if you're seated, sit bones. Awareness through the back of the legs, through the back of the hips and the spine, the shoulders, feeling the arms relax. Feeling the palms relax. The fingers relax. Softening the brow. Softening the forehead and the jaw. And then taking your awareness to the breath. Allowing the breath just to rise and fall. Just bringing your attention back to that breath if you need to. And then taking a deep inhale, allowing the deep exhale, push that breath all the way down to your toes. And maybe take another. Allowing the breath just to return back to that rise and fall. Then start to bring awareness to your toes, maybe moving them slightly. Maybe movement in the fingers. And then very slowly